Now we're going to go ahead and talk about the different parts of the electric bass. We're going to start way up here on the top of the bass with what's called the headstock. The headstock is everything from about here up. It contains the tuners, which are used to tune the instrument. Very important to tune the instrument every single time it's played. The headstock also contains the tuning pegs, which is where the strings are wound in order to be able to loosen and tighten those things. Moving down from there, we have the nut, which is this section here that holds the strings at the top. The nut is often made of plastic, but you can get nuts that are made of a variety of materials. Wood, metal's a really common one. Moving down, these little things that look like nuts are actually not. These are what are called frets. The frets are very important. They're numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. We'll talk more about that later. These are used to actually change the notes on the strings. The frets are held on what's called the fretboard, which is this whole chunk right here, often sometimes referred to as the fingerboard. This is where your fingers go. The frets and the fingerboard are all housed on what's called the neck. So this section from here to the end of the fingerboard we call the neck of the instrument. There are a variety of different necks. Occasionally you'll get necks that go all the way through the body, or you'll get necks that are bolted on. In this case, we have a bolted on neck. Pretty common. Moving down from there, we have the strings. The strings are obviously the most important part of the instrument because that's what vibrates to give us our sound. The strings are numbered and they each have a letter assigned to them. On this side we have our first string, also known as our G string. Then we have our second string, also known as D. Our third string, or A, and our fourth string, or E. Moving from there, we have these little things. These are what are called pickups. These are very important as well. These are the little magnets that convert the vibration of the strings into an electronic signal to be sent to our amplifier. The volume of the pickups are controlled using these knobs on the side. These knobs also, in addition to controlling the volume, occasionally control things like tone or equalization or different parameters of the sound. Different basses have different uses for the knobs. So when you first get your bass, move them around, listen to how they affect the sound, take note of what they do, and utilize those later when you're practicing. Moving down from the knobs, we have the bridge. The bridge is where the strings are connected on the bottom of the bass. It also has these fancy little things that are called saddles. These are used to raise or lower the strings, and also you can move them forward or backward to change what's called the intonation of the instrument. Something we'll talk about a little bit later as well. This colorful part of the bass is what's known as the pickguard. This is really there to cover up the inside of the bass. You can unscrew it, it'll give you access to the different wires and things in there if it needs adjustment. It's also there to protect the finish if you happen to play your bass with a pick, to keep it from getting scratched. It also looks kind of cool. So that's the other reason that's there. Last but not least, we have the strap buttons. Right? Usually you have one right here on your what's called the strap horn, and then also one down here on the bottom of the bass. Sometimes they'll be further this way or further this way. These are the little buttons you'll use to attach your strap to the instrument if you want to stand while playing.